friends. I'm your host, Erin Port, and welcome to the Simple Purposeful Living podcast. Life can be overwhelming and busy, so once a week, I invite you to join me, and together we will make simple tweaks to uncomplicate the hard parts of our life so we can spend more time doing what we love. I don't know about you, but there have been summers when I started feeling overwhelmed before summer even began, like right now. Not because I don't love summer, but because I could already feel the pressure of trying to fit everything in and make it all magical while still managing everyday life. And lately, I've realized that I've made a few tiny mindset shifts over the last few years that have completely changed how I approach this season. I no longer dread summer, but I anticipate it with joy and excitement. So I want to share that with you in hopes that awareness is your superpower. When we know more, when we have these mindset shifts, we can approach the season with a little more intentionality, not pulling out our hair, going against the tide of our season or against the current of our season, but with it instead. So there's 5 mindset shifts and 3 practical tiny tweaks for planning that I think are really going to help you as we go into summer. And I'd love to know if these are helpful to you. And leave a rating and review below this show. It helps other people find our show, but then I also always love reading them and seeing what tweak or mindset shift helps you the most. Okay, number 1, acknowledge a shift in seasons. This is really important. I talk about this in chapter 9 of my book, Tiny Tweaks, Happy Life. But I think it's noted that we just need to be aware that there is a shift in season. And while it seems obvious, of course, we are going from school to summer, not acknowledging it is a casualty we make. We just kind of just go from one to the other without saying, you know what, there's a shift in the season. And with that shift comes a change of responsibilities. Our routines are no longer automated. We have to kind of establish new routines. What does it look like in the morning? What does it look like at bedtime? Is there any routine associated, right? And so with that shift in seasons, it can make us feel really unsteady, almost like the blanket has been ripped out from under our feet, if you will. And it makes us wonder, like, okay, what is going on? And it's important to just say to yourself, okay, this is a shift in season. It's going to take me a minute to find my bearings, for my kids to find their bearings, for all of us to, in this new season. So the number one mindset shift that has really been helpful to me is just to say, this is a new season. And I'm going to get used to it, but it's going to take me a minute. It's kind of like when you get your hair cut and you're like, you wanted that haircut, but it takes you a few days to get used to it. Or even you buy new furniture and you're like, I really wanted this furniture, but it feels different. It's that same feeling that we have in a shift in season, okay? And it takes you just a few days for your eyes, quote unquote, to adjust. And it's the same thing here. Okay, so that's the first mindset shift. I want you to give yourself the grace to know that there's a shift in season. Number 2 shift that I have made is to look back on last year's season to anticipate joy for this season. So when I start to dread, like, oh my goodness, am I going to be able to do all the things? Are we going to fit all the things in? The pressure to perform, the pressure to like get work done while being the fun mom. You can do 2 things. Number 1, I like to look back in my gratitude journal because I write every day in it. And this is a plug for our gratitude journal. But I will go back to last summer and I'll just see what I wrote down. Things like popsicles outside, catching fireflies, sitting on the back deck in the evenings, cousins visiting, going to the library, the spontaneous moments, going out to lunch, all of those sorts of things that are so fun. And it reminds me, oh yeah, good lives in the hustle of summer, right? And so if you don't have a gratitude journal, I would also have you go back and look in your camera roll. Go back to last June, July, and August, and just look at the pictures you took, and you can see all of the fun that you had, that just even in the tiny little moments, because this just really helps us to anticipate this new season of, oh yeah, there was a lot of good in summer last year, and that the little things usually become the big things. And once I remember what mattered last summer, it becomes intentional. It becomes easier to intentionally protect those things this year. Plus, it gets us excited about the good that is coming. So before we go into a new season, look back at last year, remember all the good, because our brain, remember, has a negativity bias, which means we're always defaulting to the hard thing or the bad thing that happened, right? That's a mechanism to keep us safe from our ancestors, right? But now we have to almost mind shift our brain to say, no, I want to look for the good things. And this is how I can do it, either in my gratitude journal or in my camera roll. So that is tweak number 2, or mindset shift number 2, is to look back to anticipate the joy that is ahead. Okay, mindset shift number 3. And I avoided this one for years. And I think this was the thing that literally made me want to pull out my hair. It is naming your season and the constraints that come with that. So, do you have young kids? Are you nursing a baby? Do you need to work 8 to 5? Are you your kids Uber this summer? Do you have big kids and little kids? Are you under financial constraints where you can't do as many things outside the home this summer? Do you have to care for an older parent, or, are you responsible for a neighbor? Whatever it is, what are your constraints? And naming the season that you're in, not what you were in last year or what you're in next year, but where are you now? So for me, I have one 16-year-old who can drive, right? But he has his own life and he has his own obligations. He's going to be getting his private pilot's license this summer, so he has lots of flying time in his future. He's got football, which means weightlifting and football practices every day in the summertime. And then he's got a little lawn mowing business. So he kind of has his thing. So while I have an extra driver, he's kind of got his own schedule. Then I have another new to high schooler who's on the varsity dance team, and she also has to go to practice and weightlifting. So I'm going to have to probably take her until she gets her school permit. And then I have 2 little kids who have various summer camps and obligations this summer as well, in addition to running a business, which is a thing, plus the household obligations. So naming where you are in this season, it's going to come with different constraints. I think about a couple of years ago, we hired a nanny because I didn't have a driver, and that was helpful then. Every year I reevaluate, what do we need for this season? Not what do other people need? What do I need 2 years ago? But naming the season you're in. It's not negativity, it's awareness. And you'll fight the season all summer long unless you name it and live within that season and just say, okay, this is the season we're in now. Okay, the next mindset shift is this. Notice the unspoken expectations. I tell my kids this all the time. Unspoken expectations become the thief of all joy, right? I remember as a little kid, right? We even have this as a kid, right? You go into Christmas, you have this expectation that you're getting this gift. You open all your presents and you don't have that gift, and it kind of sours the occasion because you were expecting that gift. I mean, makes me sound like a brat, but that's just, like the reality of being little, right? Like you have this expectation of how it's the gift that summer is going to give you. And if it doesn't play out the way you think it will, immediately you think it's a failure, or you've fallen short, or it didn't meet your expectations, right? Things that we might be thinking unintentionally. I want you to be thinking about this, but unspoken expectations can quietly shape our frustration, and being aware of those expectations is powerful. So here are some examples of expectations you might have. Summer should feel magical. Kids shouldn't interrupt me. The house should always stay clean. We need to maximize every moment. Summer goes too fast. I should enjoy every second. Kids should be able to entertain themselves and not get bored. Okay, if any of those rang true, then you're not alone, because I've thought all of those things. I came with expectations of my own, right? Sometimes the pressure we feel isn't coming from reality. It's coming from expectations we never stopped to question. So when you start to think something, I want you to be aware, is this a real expectation? Is it attainable? Of course, my kids are going to interrupt me. They're home all the time. And here's the thing. It kind of goes back to what my dad talked about a couple of weeks ago. What he taught me is like every day he wakes up and he expects feedback. And so and it's that same idea of what I told you a couple of weeks that kind of interpreted as I now expect the unexpected because when I expect it, I'm not surprised, right? Or Laura Vanderkam talked about planning for the safety net, right? We don't we don't need it, but on the off chance that we do, we know what to do in case of an emergency, right? It's why we all learn to stop, drop, and roll as kids, because in case of an emergency, we know what to do. So when we expect to be interrupted, or we expect the house to look lived in because all six of us are here, or we expect that summer is going to go fast, it reframes our perspective and helps us to live from a place not of shame, but of presence, right? Like it just is not this like surprise all the time. It's okay. They are going to interrupt me. I am going to have to give them reminders. They are going to get bored and I'm going to have to help them come up with solutions. They are going to ask to go to their friend's house 90 times a day. Okay. And what am I going to do with that information? But when we expect those things, as opposed to being surprised that our unmet expectations aren't being met, it feels different. So when something comes your way about summer, I want you to say, is this a realistic expectation? And then give yourself the grace to expect the unexpected and expect that you're going to have to do some of these things because it's summer and that just comes with it. All right. So notice the unspoken expectations you have for this season, for your kids, for your house, for your work. Again, going with the current and not against it is going to make the summer feel so much better. All right. The next mindset shift that has been really helpful to me is not all months of the summer are created equal. Oftentimes, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute, we bird's eye view plan, which is great, right? Like I love to do that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. However, for us in our family, in my experience, all the summer months feel a little bit different. And yet, when we get to the threshold of summer, we start to plan for summer as a whole, when in reality, each month needs a tiny tweak in and of itself. So let me give you an example. June, I affectionately termed the go-go month. This is where we're transitioning, like I said, from going 90 miles an hour during the school year to slowing down a little bit in the summertime. And a way that I help us do that is kind of do a little more going in June, right? There's a few more camps in June. The girls are still doing dance in June. Solon's doing football practice, right? There's a little bit more that we're doing. But by the time we get to July, I affectionately call that one the slow go month of July. That's where things are slowing down a little bit more. I want to make sure that I'm seeing white space in July because we're good. We've kind of figured out the boredom thing. The kids have kind of tested the waters in June with a little more open space. And now they're ready to just be a little more lazy, a little more homebody-ish for us. Again, this is for us and in our experience. So it might look different for you, but universally, we've kind of gone into the summer. We've gotten into the rhythm a little bit better, right? Like we've talked about above with the shifting seasons, we've kind of adjusted to this new season a little bit more. So the July is that slow go month. And then the August month is don't go. Some of you are going back to school very early in August. I was talking to my assistant today, Carrie, and they go back to school mid-August. So for her, August feels kind of like a wash, right? She's really just thinking of June and July, whereas we don't go back to school until the end of August. So we very much have 3 full weeks of August to play with. But those days are the like, okay, we're going to get back to a normal schedule. We're coming back online probably with some camps, like we'll have football camp, Vera will have choreography camp for dance team. My girls will have dance intensives for dance. We're kind of ramping back up, and therefore that's going to look a little different again, right? So you can kind of see how June, July, and August all look a little different. But if we go into the summer planning for them all to look the same, do you see how that could build frustration in us where we're like, oh, this isn't working. All the things that I've planned for haven't worked. And something in that I want to point out to you is sometimes we plan so much and so far in advance, it's almost a waste of our time, right? Like it's good to have loose, overarching, like, hey, we're going on vacation this week and we've got this camp this week. And those are good, but like naming what your day is going to look like in July is probably not going to be the most fruitful time that you're going to spend right now in May because it's probably going to change. And we do this because it makes us feel safe. Control and planning make us feel safe. And so when I get the tension of being like, I just want to plan my July days with my kids, I say to myself, okay, I'm feeling a little out of control. I don't know what those days are going to look like, but when I come to them, I'm going to be able to manage them because I'm a competent, capable adult. Which sounds silly, but sometimes we have to talk to ourselves like that because we're planning for the future because we want to keep ourselves safe and we want to be in control. But like I said, many times all this planning and thinking about it is really not going to how it's going to pan out because you're going to be in a different position. You're going to be in a new season at that point. So planning a little bit looser, not so micro level when you're looking at the summer is actually going to help you be less frustrated because you're like, I spent all this time planning and it's not working out. Well, of course it's not because we kind of planned summer on a macro and micro level, not thinking about the fact that not all of the months are created equal and we're going to feel different in different months. Okay. So, with that being said, here are 3 things that I do before summer that are helpful and fruitful uses of my time. Number 1, the what matters list. Okay, so we do this at Christmas. So, this is not a new concept for us. I've talked to you about this before on the podcast. I do the same thing in the summertime. I ask my family, we have a little meeting of the minds. You know, it's literally probably while we're eating dinner on the back deck as the summer's getting started. And I say to them, what do you want to make sure we do this summer? And these are the rocks. Have you ever seen that analogy of the rocks, pebbles, and sand? And if you put the sand in first, you don't have room for the rocks or the pebbles. These are the rocks. These are the things that your family says, I want to make sure they're done this summer. And if you put those on the calendar first and get them done, you're going to look back on your summer and you're going to be able to say to yourself, we did what mattered to my kids. And honestly, for our family, it's oftentimes overlaps. For my kids, it's always going to the lake. They always like going to the lake. They always love going on vacation. They love our 3 p.m. ice cream treat days, right? So that goes back to mom had to work, but at 3 p.m. she'd shut her laptop and we'd have ice cream on the back deck. And so they love those days. Okay, put those things on the calendar, make sure that they happen. And then everything else is sort of like the sprinkles on top of the cake, if you will. If your kids are young, maybe choose. I've talked about it before. We used to do a bucket list. We did 26 of the 50 things, and I deemed it that summer a failure. We did 26 things, and I deemed it a failure. Like, Erin, what? I just smacked my head against the wall. Not really, but that's what it feels like. But that's how we can get as moms because you're like, well, again, that negativity bias, but look at all the stuff I didn't do. And the thing I love about when we transitioned to the what matters list is it was maybe 6 things. I asked each kid, what's one thing you want to do? And we'd write it down on our what's matters list. I have a little printable that you can do this with your family too. You can put it on the fridge. I like to put these in my calendar immediately or make sure that we have them on our calendar so that we can get them done. And that's really helpful to me, the what matters list. Okay, the other thing I like to do is I like to bird's eye view plan. Now, again, this is not like a micro. This is what our everyday this summer is going to look like. This is on a macro level scale. When are we going on vacation? When do the kids have camp? Because here's what often happens. And you've probably felt this in December. I was just talking to a friend. She double booked herself because things were coming at her so quickly. She kept saying, yes, 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 yes. And then she was like, oh my goodness, my calendar is literally one giant social bomb. And I have to figure out a way to get out of some of this because I overbooked myself and I double booked myself. And this is where when we get to the end of the summer and we're like, it went so fast and it was so full. I don't want to do that again next year. This is where this helps because there are going to be lots of opportunities. And I was just talking to Quincy about this because we went to Texas last week for my dad's retirement and his cousin's graduation. And he missed his poetry picnic and he missed going to his next year's school tour because they take the second graders to the next school up on a special tour. And he was bummed because those are good things he was excited about. And I said, sometimes, Quincy, in life, it's really easy to pick between a good thing and a not good thing. But sometimes life offers you two good things. And you have to decide in this season, in this moment, which is the better of the two? What is the right thing, even though they're both good things? And we need to go into our summer with a bird's eye view with all of the opportunities coming at us, many of them good, and say to ourselves, but in this season, what is the right thing for my family? And that's not going to look like anybody else's calendar. I can't be prescriptive for you because the thing I say yes to this year might have been a no in previous years, or the thing I say no to this year might have been a yes in previous years. Let me give you an example. This year, we're not doing Vacation Bible School. Some of you are probably guffawing, but we go 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday in our house, and sometimes on Friday we'll have track meets. I have been going, our kids have been going all year long. And in the summer, I protect our evenings like they are the gold that they are. I love our slow evenings, our back deck dinners. I love the fact that my kids can do things if they want to, but we're just available. And so this year, VBS at our church is on a week-long weeknight, fairly early on in summer. And I just said, you know what? This year, we're just not going to do it. And that's okay. Even though it's a good thing, it's not the right thing in this season. And bird's eye view planning helps me to see that because white space on your calendar is not a bad thing. You should, I hope, have a couple of days where there's literally nothing on the calendar because those are so lovely. So lovely for the kids, right? Lazy mornings, spontaneity. Some of my favorite summer joys happen in spontaneity. And if spontaneity is hard for you, here's a tiny tweak. On your phone, put a little thing that says things we'd like to do this summer. This is not the what matters list. This is like as you think of things, as you see things online, inspiration, you can write it down. And it becomes a menu of opportunities when you have time. So for us, Scott and I went duck bowling a couple of weeks ago, just the two of us. I loved it because you didn't have to buy special shoes. You could eat at the restaurant if you wanted to, but you didn't. It was $5 per person for a game, which is fairly economical. If there's 5 of us, it's $25 for about an hour activity. I wrote that down on my things I could do with my kids this summer list on my phone. So if a day presents itself and we're like, we want to do something today, we can go to that menu and say, what should we do from this list? So that's just helpful too. So the what's matters list, print out the 3 months of summer, bird's eye view it, make sure that you haven't overcommitted yourself. Say no to the things that are, even though they're good, they might not be right in this season, and then have a little bit of a little list on your phone for those days where you're like, oh, we want a little spontaneity, but I'm not good at spontaneity. So here are some things I've seen online that we'd like to try, right? Maybe it's a new park that you saw online, or like I said, duck pin bowling, or maybe you want to go to this pool that you saw, whatever it is, just have it on your list. If you don't get to it, it's not like you failed. It was just a menu of options. You're not going to eat every meal on a menu at a restaurant. It's the same with this as well. The expectation isn't that you complete them all. It's a menu of opportunities and choices that you can make. Okay. The last tweak I want to share with you that was something I changed last year that was so helpful that I was kind of almost surprised at how helpful it was our summer kickoff week. And I talked about it with you last year. It was our first time doing it. But remember when I said that our summer, when we shift seasons, when we go from school to summer, it can, especially going from May, where you are doing 1,000,001 things. I just got an email from the school today talking about the last day of school stuff and silly string day and field day and all of these events. I mean, so many fun things. And you're going 1,000,000 miles an hour. And then you get to summer and it's like, step on the brakes. I expect our kids not to be bored. Even though they've been in a structured environment in the classroom 8 hours a day, with limited unstructured play at the afternoon because they're going to activities and dance classes and sports. What are they supposed to do with 8 hours of unstructured time? Like, that does sound a little overwhelming to me as a parent, let alone a kid trying to entertain themselves for that long. So I tried to bridge between school mode and summer mode with a summer kickoff week. It's an intentional time for decompression. I plan a little something every day that week that is really fun for us, but also might also be things that we need to do. So last year we went and got some new summer clothes. You know, of course, like you're like, oh, your shoes were like hanging on by a thread. We probably need to get you some new Crocs for the summertime. We would go out for lunch one day. You might visit the pool one day. These might be things you're doing anyway, but naming it Summer Kickoff Week made a huge difference for my kids. And it helped me to be intentional about those days as a parent too, because I worked in set times in the morning, and then we went and did this thing in the afternoon, and it helped me to be present with my kids when I said this week is going to be a gift to all of us as we transition from one season to another. It might mean that you're going and signing up for the library summer reading program. It might mean that you pick one thing off of the list, you know, Fun Friday, and you pick something off that menu of items that you've kind of been storing up. It might mean making a boredom list so that they have some ideas for the summer. It might be that you go to the craft store, Hobby Lobby, and pick up some crafts for a craft bin for the summer. The options are endless, but I just planned something Monday through Friday that first week. Honestly, I thought I was going to have to do something for 2 weeks, and 1 week was all it took for them to kind of slip into this new season, which was kind of a surprise and also a relief for me. I wasn't going to have to plan something every day for the entire summer. It was just this 1 week that was summer kickoff week, and it was so helpful. I kind of felt like we were easing into a new rhythm instead of crashing into it. And we could have a little fun and celebrate the new season as opposed to kind of fitting like we're like hitting our head against the wall or butting heads as parents and kids. So before your calendar fills itself, I want you to take a few minutes to ask yourself, what actually matters to our family this summer? What are we looking forward to? And what kind of pace do we want to protect? All right, here are the mindset shifts just as a reminder as we look back. Acknowledge a shift in seasons. Sounds simple, but oftentimes we don't give ourselves the grace to say this is a new season and it's going to take time for our quote unquote eyes to adjust. Number 2, look back to anticipate with joy. What did you appreciate about last year? Look on your camera roll or your gratitude journal. This is going to help you get rid of the dread and look at it with more joy. Number 3, name the season you're in and the constraints that you have. Think about what you need to do, what your kids need to do, the ages of your kids, all of those sorts of things. That's going to play into your summer. The next one, notice the unspoken expectations you're holding on to. These can mar the summer faster than anything else. And if we start to notice them, then we can replace the expectation with truth, right? Our kids are going to get bored, but they're going to figure it out. Our house is going to get lived in, but we can clean it up. My kids will interrupt me, but I can get back to work, right? All of those sorts of things. Not all the months are created equal. So micro planning for the entire summer now is probably not going to be the most fruitful thing. Create a what matters list so that you're sure to get what matters done to your family. Plan at a macro level your summer so that you're not over planning, right? Because good things are not always the right thing based on your season and constraints. And then go ahead and plan a little summer kickoff week, a little something every day the first week of summer to help you and your kids ease in to the transition. And I promise you, this is going to help you so much. It's been so impactful for us. A meaningful summer usually isn't built on doing more. It's built by noticing more. Awareness is your superpower. I hope this episode gives you permission to simplify things a little, say no to the good things if they're not the right things, and leave some white space for spontaneity and fun, and create a summer that feels good for your family in this season. Next week, we're going to talk about what this all looks like practically. How do I get work done? How do we handle chores, rhythms, responsibilities, and all the real life logistics with summer and everybody being home? But until then, I hope you find a tiny tweak, a mindset shift to help you anticipate summer with joy, because there is good coming and I can't wait to enjoy it with my family and for you to enjoy it with yours. If you liked this episode, it would mean so much if you'd share it with a friend or leave a quick rating and review so others can find our show. Until next time, you can find me at Simple Purposeful Living on Instagram and Facebook.